but go tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee. There you will see him as he said to you. This morning, I want to talk about from stumbling to stability. Amen. From stumbling to stability. Today we're going to take a look at a man who in the scripture is a complex individual. A man on one hand in one moment is greatly used by God, and on the other moment, at another moment, Jesus is telling him, get behind me, Satan. This is a picture of Christianity. This is how a picture of Christianity can be. On one day, God is using you mightily. On the next day, you messed up. And you have disappointed God. And you've brought shame upon God. We know this man very well. You may say that he was Jesus' ride or die. He was as close to a ride or die as Jesus had on earth. Amen. His name, this verse is not one of, his name is Peter. And when we open up this text, Peter is at the lowest point in his life. He is feeling bad about himself, downright disgusted. He's feeling ashamed of himself. I probably even can't put into words how Peter must have really felt about himself when the angel of the Lord told the women to go and tell his disciples. And Peter, why did Peter need a special recognition from the angel? Of all of Jesus' disciples, Jesus had 12, one of them was dead, and now there's just 11 left. In order to understand the text, we must go back from the beginning to the relationship with Jesus and Peter. Contrary to what we believe, Peter was not Jesus' first disciple choice. As a matter of fact, it was Andrew, his brother, and John. And Andrew brings his brother Simon, as his name was later changed to Peter. He brings Simon, and he introduced Jesus to Simon. And he tells his brother, I have found the Messiah, the one that we have been waiting on. Their first introduction is when Jesus, he's preaching to the multitude, and he asks Simon, can he use his boat? And so Simon says yes, and so he asked him, can he use his boat? And he uses Simon's boat, and he preaches to the multitude. I'm a little nervous this morning, but that's good. Because this is a relative word of revelation. And he uses his boat. He preaches to the multitude. And after he gets through preaching, he tells Simon, he said, go and launch out to the deep and try it again and go fish. And Simon tells him that when you hear me say Simon and Peter, I'm interchanging his name. But we know that I'm talking about Peter. And so Peter tells him, Master, we have toiled all night long, and we've caught nothing. And then, so Jesus said, well, just try it again. And Simon said, but nevertheless, at thy word, I'm going to do what you say. He goes out and he launches his boat and he tries again. He casts his net and he catches the most fish that he has ever caught in his life. That's Jesus proving himself to Simon Peter that he is who he say he is. When we meet Jesus, when we encounter him, Jesus, he manifests himself in different ways to different kind of people. Amen. He may not manifest his way to me. He may have come to me at a different way, and he may have come to you at a different way, but nevertheless he comes to prove himself that he is who he said he is. And so thus here we go. Now he has hooked Peter. He has hooked Peter. Amen. And so now Peter is hooked, and he becomes one of his disciples. Now his name was Simon. But you know God he has a habit of changing our names. He changed, this wasn't the first time God had changed somebody's name. He changed Abraham's name. He changed Abram to Abraham. He's changed Sarah to Sarah. He's changed Jacob's name to Israel. See, our name reflects our character. And the name Simon, he had to change Peter's name because Simon was something else. He was boastful. He was loudmouthed. He was the type of person who would take charge. And Jesus had to let Peter know that you are not the one in charge of this group. I am the one in charge. And so when you hear me interchange his name, Simon goes from Simon sometimes. Simon shows up. He shows up a lot because now remember, he had a long time of being Simon, and now Peter. Now he becomes Peter. And so Peter I think he was the self-appointed leader of the group. He spoke up when he spoke up when he should have shut up. He spoke up. He was the spokesman for the group. Y'all know it's always going to be somebody who's going to speak up for the group. And that's not necessarily such a bad thing. But now, in this text today, he's at a low point in his life. His mouth got him in trouble. Because now he has said something, and now Jesus has been crucified, and he has said something, and he is feeling low about himself. You know, I got this message. I can understand how Peter felt. Because I got this message from feeling kind of the same way. You know, in December, God told me, he said, I want you to stop cussing, and I want you to, come on now, y'all. He said, I want you to stop that. And he said, I want you to get in my word every day. And so I did what God said, because you know, so when God speaks, when God told me that, I knew he meant business. I knew he wasn't playing with me. And so I began my journey of watching what I say. And you know, I got this son. I do good till he come home. Can I get a witness? If I got any children oh Lord, they take you there. So here I am down to one cuss word a day. I'm doing good. I'm doing 6 months, and I'm down sometime. And so, Sister Bradley, I said, today gonna be my day. I ain't saying not one cuss word today. I'm done with saying them bad words. I got this. Yeah, I got that Peter spirit. I got this. Oh, help me today, Brother Rebate. I got this. I was feeling good about myself. What I should have said, if the Lord be my help. That's what I should have said. But now I'm in my own power. I got this. Me and Bishop go to lunch, and we had a good lunch. We talking about the word, and we just having a good time, and I'm feeling God all in me. And yeah, I got this. Do this. I ain't got to say no bad word no more, not even once. So, you know, we at the Pearland Mall having lunch, and I had to go stop by this store and get something. So we pulled into this store, and so y'all, have y'all ever been to that mall out there in Pearland? They got a crazy parking system. So we pulled in. I had to go to GNC, and so I got out. This man saw me coming out, Monica Rose. He saw me coming out, getting in the car, and he jumps out his car. Now, Bishop, now, whatever he ate is going through him. I got to use the restroom. And so this brother, too much information. You part of the story. Got to tell it. And so this is why we in such a hurry to get out, to go home. And this man, he see me coming out the store. And I'm like, okay, well, he finna get out a parking spot. Well, he gets out his car and goes into the store next to the store that I was in, and to get somebody out of there. And I told him, hey, brother, come on out, come on, move your car. You know, Bishop, he's very nice and diplomatic, and he'd say, come on, man, move your car. And he told us, wait. And I said, man, move your car, we got to go. And he said, wait. And, whoa, Jesus, needless to say, I didn't make it that day without I said some things that Bishop said, Cheryl. And I said, oh, I felt, you know, Bishop is my balance. He balances me out. So you got a husband that balances you out and bring you around back to God. You all thank God for him. But Bishop had me he in his correction of me, and I needed correcting, but it made me feel so bad. And I for 2 days, I'm asking God, forgive me for what I said to that man. Please forgive me. I don't know what happened. And he said, and I mean, well, English, I'm down. I am down as I could get. And he told me, he said, I want you to take a look at Peter. Peter stumbled a whole lot. And I'm looking at this, and he's feeding me this, and Peter, just look at some of the things that Peter did, because Peter, of any other disciple in the Bible, God taught. Peter talks more than anybody. And so Peter is on the Mount of Transfiguration with God, with Jesus. He takes his inner circle. Jesus had 12 disciples. He had only three was in his inner circle, and that was Peter, James, and John. He took them everywhere. He left Doubting Thomas behind. He left them other guys behind to do work. And he took Peter, James, and John on the Mount of Transfiguration. On the Mount of Transfiguration, when they get up in the mountain now when you read the book of Mark, Luke, when you read the book of Mark, Peter, this book really could be called the book of Peter, because Peter told Mark what to write in this book. He translated the stories of him walking with Jesus in this book. So the book of Mark is seen through the eyes of Peter. And so, but the book of Luke, when Luke tells the story about the Mount of Transfiguration, Luke says that when they got up on the mountain, Peter, James, and John fell asleep. Now, this wasn't their first time falling asleep. They had a habit of falling asleep on Jesus. But this time, when they fell asleep on Jesus, they wake up and Jesus is talking to Moses and Elijah. And then when Peter wakes up, he sees them talking, and Peter opens his mouth and talks out of turn. And he say, Master, it is good for us to be up here. Let us build a tabernacle for you, Moses, and Elijah. Now, what you talking about, man? And to me, he breaks the flow. When he interrupts their conversation, he breaks the flow, because they were talking about what Jesus was going to experience when he had to go through the crucifixion. Instead of him shutting up, he breaks the flow. And then there was another time in the book let me see what I got here. There was a whole lot of things Jesus did. In the book of Matthew 16 through 13, Jesus and his disciples were on their way to to Philippi. And they were having a conversation. And Jesus asked them a question. He said, who do man say that I am? And his disciples, folk talk, and they say, well, some say that you are John the Baptist, and some say that you are Elijah reincarnated, and some say you this, and some say that. And Jesus said, well, who do you say I am? And then it was Peter that spoke up. And he said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you. My Father which is in heaven revealed that to you. Now listen, on one hand, God just on the Mount of Figuration, he tells Peter to shut up. This is my beloved Son. Here he's him. You done broke the flow on the Mount of Transformation. And now God is using the Father. He just spoke a word of revelation to you. And now Peter is feeling good about himself. And so Jesus is so impressed with Peter. He said, I'm going to change your name to Peter. Petros, which means rock. But this rock is a huge rock. It's an enormous rock. Because this is the rock that Jesus said, I'm going to build my church on. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. He didn't build his church on Peter. He built his church on a rock. This is the first time. Oh, my mouth is so dry. This is the first time that I get excited. Excuse me, y'all get excited about the book. This is the first time in Scripture that Jesus talks about the church. And so then there was another time that Peter spoke up. It was with the woman with the issue of blood. Jesus is in the crowd of the multitude. Y'all know the story. And this woman said she had an issue for 12 long years. Had been sick for 12 long years. When you sick that long, you get desperate. You can spend all your money. You ain't got no more money. You ain't got no more hope. But you hear about this man named Jesus, and he's in your region, and you want to go see him because you had an issue for 12 long years, and he's in the crowd. She makes her way to the crowd. This woman is desperate. When you get desperate, people, you will make your way. You will push your way. You will shove your way. You will move people out of your way. And don't be ashamed to do it because people don't understand that you need something that they may not need. And so this woman touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and virtue leaves his body. This was a special touch. And Jesus asked him, he said, who touched me? He's asking the question, who touched me? And then his disciples are all around him. And this book, the person that speaks up is Peter. He said, Master, all of these people are around you. What do you mean who touched you? It's bound to be somebody that touched you. But no, this was a special touch. And now Peter is speaking up, and he's speaking out of turn. Yes. And then, right on those heels, we hear, while Jesus is asking who touched me, Jairus is breaking through the crowd and asks the master to come and pray for his daughter. And then he agrees to go and pray for his daughter, and somebody comes along with a word saying, don't trouble him, your daughter is dead. And Jesus looked at Jairus and said, can you believe? If you can believe that all things are possible. And so, you know the story. He goes to Jairus' house. He takes his inner core. He takes Peter, James, and John. Why does he take them? Because you have to have somebody that can believe with you. You need to live. He left doubting Thomas where he needed to be. I don't fool with people that don't have no faith. When I need somebody to pray for me, I don't call folks that don't have no faith. I don't call people, because see, sometimes people will talk you out of your blessing. They will say, this may not be for you, it's just, maybe this is God's way. No, this is an obstacle that's in my way, and I need you to pray with me. I need you to stand with me. So he takes his 3 ride or die. they tell him the girl is dead, and he said, no, Jesus said, no, she's asleep. If Jesus said the girl asleep, she's asleep. She may be asleep in death, but she's still asleep. Yeah. Jesus takes the little girl by the hand, says some words, and he tells her to arise, and she arises, and he gives her back to her father. Peter is with Jesus. And then there's another story. Another instance is when the Pharisees complained to Jesus about the washing of the hands. Oh, I don't like these Pharisees. The more I study the Word of God, the least I like the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Herodians. They were the religious leaders of Jesus' day. And they were always fault-finding. They were always messing with Jesus about something. They will follow him around to find fault. You know, people will get close to you to find your butt. Oh, they will. They will act like they will pretend to be your friend. They will pretend to be interested in you and what you're doing. But baby, they ain't interested in you. They just want to find fault. And the Pharisees were fault finders. And Jesus' disciples, they would eat and they would wash their hands. And so they asked him, why you don't make your disciples wash your hands? And Jesus was cold when it came to them Pharisees. He didn't pull no punches. And he told them, he said, not what goes in a man that defiles him. It's what comes out of a man what defiles us. Because out of the heart flows the issues of life. You see, our president, I woke up this morning and he said something about Baltimore he says all these nasty things about black people and black countries, and people want him to apologize. Stop asking folk to apologize for what they really feel. They told you what they feel. They told you who they are. It's not what goes into us that defiles us. It's what comes out of us. It's what people think. I saw the news on TV this week. This 71-year-old white woman got into an altercation with these black women. They were in the restaurant having a good time, having lunch and laughing and talking. She goes over to their table and starts messing with them. Telling them to be quiet. Telling them to shut up. And then, at the end of the conversation, she calls them the N-word. That's who she is. That's in her heart. That's what she thought. We need to stop asking people to apologize for what they really believe. When people show you who they are, believe them. And so so you say, well, what this got to do with Peter? I'm glad you asked. Because Peter asked the question, Lord, then Peter said explain the parable to us. And Jesus was cold when he told Peter, are you yet still without understanding? In other words, if you keep your mouth shut, sometimes you will understand stuff. And so now Jesus has to go and explain this parable to him about what goes into us. Because he said, what goes into us come out of us. What we eat come out. Oh, but the things in our heart. The Bible, Proverbs warns us, who can know the heart of a man? For it is deceitful and is wicked above all. Oh, how many of y'all done ran into some wicked people that have deceived you? You thought they were, now you ain't got to raise your hand. You thought they were nice, because everybody ran into some of them. Oh, but sooner or later, you keep on talking to them, you keep on walking with them, you're going to find out that they are wicked and they are deceptive. They pretend to be nice. They're just as wicked as they can be. And then there's another one, Peter asked, now we got Peter to thank for this one. Peter asked Jesus, how many times should we forgive our brother? I mean, this one probably made a lot of people mad right here. This one right here, it'll get you right here. Because the Pharisees put a number on forgiveness. But Jesus put a number that no man could outdo. concerns about was the conversation with the rich young ruler. Jesus is having a conversation with the rich young ruler. And you know, this rich young ruler, he was arrogant. Yeah, he was. You know, because Jesus told him, he asked Jesus, what can I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus gave him all these things, and he, with his arrogance, he just should have shut up and left it alone and just walked away. And he said, I've done all that. I'm all together that and some. And Jesus said, okay, well, one thing I like, sell everything you have and give it to the poor. And now this young man, he walks away. He walks away. Now, Jesus messed him up with that. He walks away because he was very rich. And he loved his riches. He loved his possession. And Peter, he said, well, wait a minute. Because after Jesus said that, he said, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Right. And that kind of messed Peter up. And Peter said, well, wait a minute, Master, you got to explain that. You got to explain that to us. And so now we have Peter to think about that. And so now Jesus, we have Peter. And but this is a good one. This is a good one when Peter opened his mouth. Because now Jesus explained, he said, let me tell you something, disciples don't get it twisted. Because Peter said, we have left all to follow you. Yeah. We've given up our business to follow you. Yeah. They had a good fishing business. They wasn't broke. Jesus didn't choose no broke down disciples. He used people that were doing something. Yeah. Yeah. And he said, we have left all to follow you, Jesus. What do you mean that it's easier for a camel? And Jesus said, wait a minute. I want you to know this. Whatever you have left to follow me, you're going to get it back. Right. And you know, I remember when I was a little girl, they used to say, you're going to get your reward in heaven. But when you read this scripture, Jesus said you're going to get it back in this lifetime and a lifetime to come. Oh, we ought to be shocked on that. Whatever you sacrifice for him, I'm a witness. Whatever you sacrifice for him, he's going to give you double for your trouble. And then, okay, and this is the last one, there's many more. After Jesus has fed the multitude with the 2 little fish and 5 loaves of bread and blessed, he wanted to get away. Because they were all excited about him being king. They were all excited about him being king. And Jesus leads the multitude, and he told his disciples, get into the boat and go into the other side. I'm going to meet you on the other side. I don't think that this perplexed them, because it was like, how are you going to get on the other side? You ain't got no boat. So they get in the boat. Nevertheless, they get in the boat. Jesus goes up to the mountain and prays, and soon now, while they're on the other side, a storm arises. And they see somebody walking on water. And they perceived that it was a ghost, and they got afraid. And so now they cried out, and Jesus said, peace be with you. It is I. And Peter, big mouth Peter, says, Lord, if it's you, bid me to come unto thee. Yeah. Yes, he did. And so now he comes unto Jesus. He gets out of the boat and walks on water. He does something no one has ever done before. Look at Peter with his hands. Walking on water. I can just see him. Yeah. Other guys, y'all in the boat. I'm walking on water. Then he began to look down and he began to sink. And then, I know Jesus played that out because he knew Peter. And so he began to seek, and Peter said one of the shortest prayers, Lord, save me. Jesus reached out his hand and told him, ye of little faith, they go into the boat. But let me give you one more, because this is I forgot about this one. This is profound right here. Peter speaks up. And this one, Jesus here, multitude of people follow him everywhere he go, multitude. Jesus turned one day and told him, unless you can drink of my blood and eat of my flesh, you have no part in me. And so they found out that this was a very hard thing because they didn't really understand, but they didn't try to understand. And so he preaches this about eating his flesh. And so the Bible says that many of them walked away. Jesus asked for a commitment from the multitude. And they all walked away from Jesus. And I know that probably hurt Jesus a little bit because you have to remember that Jesus was man as much as he was God. He was God as much as he was man. He was touched by all our infirmities. He had feelings too. And so when they all walked away from him, he turned to the 12 and he said, would you leave me too? And it was Peter that spoke up and said, Lord, if we leave you, where can we go? For in thy mouth are the words of eternal life. So Peter had a way of talking when he should have talked. He had a way of keeping silent when he should have talked. He had a way of shutting up when he should have talked. He was a very complicated man. And now when we go back to the scripture, we want to know why did this angel tell these women to go tell Jesus' disciples and Peter. Let's look at the collapse of Peter. Oh, Jesus knew who he was dealing with. He knew that all 12 of these guys were flawed. They were all flawed. All flawed. But so are we. So are we. God told me, girl, I use flawed people. You ain't never going to be perfect. You're going to mess up till the day you die. When he gave me this message, he let me know you are just as flawed as anybody I used in the Bible. Don't ever think that you got it all together. Don't ever think that you all that. Boy, that day I thought I had it all together. I knew I was going to make it that day. Only to find out that I collapsed just like Peter did. And then, okay, let's look at Peter collapse. Because see, his first collapse was when they were washing of the feet. Jesus was trying to tell them what was going to happen. He's explaining to them at the Last Supper. He said, he's explaining to them, I'm going to be crucified. The Son of Man is going to die. I'm going to be buried. I'm going to be raised from the dead in 3 days. And Peter said, I will never let that happen to you. I will never let that happen to you. I will die for you. Now he calls Peter the devil for saying that. But he called Judas his friend, the one that would betray him. And so now we're at the foot washing ceremony. Y'all still with me? Yeah. Am I boring you? Okay. Now we're at the foot washing ceremony. And Peter tells Jesus, he tells Jesus, first of all, Jesus should have been washing their feet. They should have been washing his feet. But none of the 12 offered to wash nobody's feet. But Jesus humbled himself. The Bible says he girded his loin. He girded himself. He took off his garment. He wrapped a towel around himself. And he knelt down and he washed their feet. And Peter speaks up and he said, Master, I'm not worthy of you to wash my feet. And Jesus tells him, if you don't let me wash your feet, you have no part of me. Wow. Then, if that wasn't good enough, Peter said, wash my hands and wash my head. In other words, wash all of me. Jesus said, those who need a bath to take their own bath. Just let me wash your feet. Then his second collapse was at the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus take the 12. But then he asked his inner circle to watch. First he asked them to watch with him. Jesus goes and prays. He comes back. They sleep. This is the third time these guys fell asleep. The seventh time these guys. Very important point in Jesus' life. He wakes them and he comes back and they sleep again, and he tell them sleep on. It's too late to pray now. And see, while they should have been praying, they were sleeping. While they should have been watching, they were sleeping. And now here the soldiers come to take Jesus, and they come to get Jesus. And now, instead of Peter having a spiritual experience, he all full of flesh, because why? He did not pray. And now he grabs his sword and cuts the ear off of one of the soldiers. Could have got Jesus killed in a midnight brawl instead of old Calvary cross. And now Jesus had to pick up the man's ear and put it back on him. He said, put your sword away, Peter. Because when we live by the sword, we'll die by the sword. Peter, this is why. This is the meat of the text right here. This is the third collapse of Peter. Peter gets, they take Jesus. And now you know Jesus had told him that what was going to happen to them. What was going to happen? He said, I'm going to die, and they're going to take me, and I'm going to be beaten, and I'm going to be hung on the cross, and I'm going to be crucified. People say, oh no, Master, I never let that happen to you. I will die for you. Jesus tell Peter, Peter, shut up. For the cock crow, you're going to be denied me 3 times. Oh, sometimes we can be so assured of ourselves. We can be so assured of ourselves. But the old folks used to have a saying, and now I get that saying, but sometimes I forget to say, unless God be my help, I'll mess this thing up. And so now Peter is he follows Jesus from afar. See, I believe that he would have died. I believe that he really meant what he said at the time he said it. But then when he saw that canine tail hit Jesus' back and split it open, and the excruciating pain that Jesus was in, this little girl said, you're one of them. You're one of his disciples. He said, no, I'm not. Boy, a child sure can call you out. Child children tell the truth. They lie too, but they tell the truth. They can tell the truth when you don't want them to tell the truth. And she said, yeah, you're one of them. He said, no, I don't know the man. And then she said, yeah, because you sound just like him. Your speech betrayed you. And Peter started cursing. The cock crows, and Jesus and Peter lock eyes on each other. Now, Peter is feeling low. Feeling bad about himself. He speaks what he should have kept silent. He kept silent when he should have spoken up. But make no mistake about it. Peter and Jesus had a relationship. Jesus knew exactly who he was dealing with. Jesus had 12 disciples. One was a betrayer. Judas was a betrayer, a liar, and a thief. But let me tell y'all something about Judas. Because see, we write Judas off. We write him off. And you know, when I was a little girl, y'all know that they used to teach that when you commit suicide, you go to hell. But we write Judas off. But I read something or I studied, and this just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. Because how many of you all have been told that Judas was lost throughout all eternity? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Don't. I read something that kind of blew my mind, because one day they were having a conversation. Now, you know, Jesus knows everything. He knows everything. And so Jesus and his disciples are having the conversation, and Jesus tells him that when the Son of Man sits on the throne in all his glory, you 12 will sit with me, and you will judge the 12 tribes of Israel. That blew my mind. Because now And the church have taught for years that Judas was lost through all eternity. Judas was born to betray Jesus. That is what he was born to do. And after he got through doing it, he said, I have shed innocent blood. And he's very godly sorrowful for what he's done. He goes and hangs himself. Now, there are 11 of them left. And Peter is the head. He's their leader. And he's distraught. He's ashamed. He's feeling embarrassed. What do you do when your leader is ashamed of folly? What do you do for him? You pray for him. And I imagine that somebody was praying for Peter. And I imagine that somebody was Jesus Christ himself. Because it was Peter that said, Master, how often should we forgive one that offends us? And so now he has offended Jesus, and Jesus has to forgive him, and Jesus has no problem doing that. And so now we look at the people that are left. He had his ride or dies, his three, Peter, James, and John. But then he also had some more disciples. He had the one named Nathaniel, a.k.a. Bartholomew, who had the famous saying, is there anything good that can come out of Nazareth? And Jesus knew that Bartholomew was a man that never, he would tell you what was on his mind. Jesus called him a man without deceit. And then there was Thaddeus, a.k.a. Jesus' little brother, who didn't get on board with Jesus until after the resurrection. Isn't it funny how you can be born in the same house, raised by the same mama? His mama told them Jesus' purpose. His mother then told them that he was who he said he was. He was the Messiah. How she was impregnated by the Holy Spirit. His own brother didn't believe him. Didn't believe him until he got raised from the dead. And Jude, Jesus' little brother, wrote this one little book. One little book. He wrote the benediction of the church. And it says, now to him who is able to keep us from falling. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before the presence of his glory, to the all-wise and true God, our Savior alone, to be glory and majesty, and both now and forevermore. That was Jesus' little brother Jude. And then there was John the Revelator, the one that wrote about love so much. He wrote about love. He wrote John 3:16. So God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and that whosoever believed in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. And then that was Peter that was left. But I want to go back to John for a little bit, because John wrote about a lot about love. One of the scriptures that he wrote about love was not in the St. John's, but in the book of John, the epistle of John. He said, beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and God is love. Who that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. Beloved, let us love one another. 1 John 4:7 and 8. He wrote about love because he loved Jesus. He knew the foundation that Jesus came and stood on was because he loved us so much. And Peter went on to establish the church. When James and John and Peter were together, there was chaos that rose against the church. This new wave that came against the church. And King Herod, he killed James, the brother of John, but John kept on rolling. He put Peter in jail, and he was going to give the people to Peter after the Passover. But the Bible says that an angel came in the jail. They had locked Peter up so tight that nobody could get him. They put him between two guards. They put him in the deep part of the prison. They put him in chains, and an angel came and loosed Peter. And Peter thought he was dreaming. The angel told him, gird your loins, put on your clothes. But the church was praying for Peter. They were praying that God will make a way for Peter to get out of what he was in. And you know what? God made that way. And so Peter, the angel, he put a deep sleep on everybody. He took Peter, walked him through the gates of the prison, walked him out, and he told Peter to make haste. Peter goes to Mary's house where they've been praying for him. And Rhoda, he knocks on the door, and a little girl named Rhoda answers the door. She goes in to tell people, Peter is at the door. And they tell her, girl, Peter ain't at the door. She said, yes, Peter is at the door. Sometimes God will answer your prayer quicker than you think he will, and sooner at once. I wish I had a church. Have you ever had God to answer a prayer for you? Peter went from stumbling to stability. He preached in the New Testament. He preached the church in the New Testament. Millions and millions of people were added to the church because of Peter. Oh, Peter stumbled. But let me tell you something, people. All of us stumble every now and then. But repent and get back on that horse and try it again. And this time when you try, say, God, if you be my help, I know everything gonna be all right. If you enjoyed that word, let's give the Lord a hand clap of praise. You know, sometimes, y'all, we can feel so bad about ourselves. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we don't even see it coming. Sometimes we mess up so bad. And the devil likes for you. He loves to see you mess up. The devil, too, he does two things when we mess up. One of the things he does is he either make you whitewash the sin. And that's what we're doing today in our society. There's no such thing as sin anymore, really. You know, we look at people today and it's never nobody's fault. Never nobody's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. I know y'all saw this thing on, if you have Facebook, I know y'all saw that Eddie Murphy's ex-wife, she was with this Fuqua guy, Antoine Fuqua, the director in Hollywood. And somebody, they were kissing each other. Now he's married, she's not married. And she said, well, I didn't know he was married, I thought they were divorced. She lied, she knew that man was still married. And so they, you know, people were on her. And so, you know, on these talk shows, they would say, well, it's not really her fault, it's his fault. He's the one that's married. No, it's both of them fault. It's both of their faults. It's both of their faults. And as a woman, we shouldn't do that to another woman. Amen, sisters? Oh, come on now. I wouldn't want nobody doing that to me. Lord knows I wouldn't want nobody doing that to me. Because if God don't be my help, I'm going to do something to you and him. I'm just going to tell you the truth. If he don't be my help. But I know he will. So the devil wants us to whitewash sin. And then either if he don't get you to whitewash sin, he'll get you so down and so discouraged that he don't think that God can use you anymore. He will get you so down and discouraged that he will make you think that God did not forgive you. When I got down on myself, God told me, I forgave you the first time that you asked me to forgive you. But I was like, God, I should be far along than this. And he said, well, you stumbled, but get back up. You repented. Try not to let it happen anymore. Just get back up. And sometimes people, when we stumble, we stay down. But you got to be like Peter. You got to get back up again. Amen? You got to get back up again. And you got to try it again. And you got to let the devil know that I'm still God's child. And he still wants me. And he still loves me. And I have asked him for forgiveness. And he has forgiven me. Would you stand to your feet, please, and let me pray for you? Because I know that some of y'all done stumbled like I did. But you got back up again. Amen? And you need to get back up again. You may be feeling like I felt that day. I felt so bad I couldn't even sleep. But God in his mercy told me, Cheryl, the first time you asked me for forgiveness, daughter, I forgave you. You're the one that's keeping it alive. So if you're keeping something alive in your heart, where you have messed up with God, you have brought shame. Because I felt like I brought shame on his kingdom. You know what I mean? That guy that I stayed there to, he don't know me. He don't know me from a can of paint, but God knows me. And what God thinks about me is very, very, very important. And that's who we should always acknowledge, the thoughts of God. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this word, dear God. We thank you for the life of Peter. He stumbled, but God, he yet became stable. I thank you, Heavenly Father, for your word that brings light to us when we have messed up. I thank you for your word, dear God, that is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. I thank you for your word, Father, that when we mess up, you stand ready to forgive us. Heavenly Father, we're your sheep. We're not goats, but we're your sheep. And the difference between a goat will buck, but when the sheep get in trouble, we cry out for your help. So Heavenly Father, we thank you right now in the name of Jesus, that we're crying out for you. If any of us are messed up today, we ask for forgiveness. We ask that you renew a right spirit in us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. In Jesus' name, amen.